Hello, and welcome back to the Sober Mom Life podcast. You guys, this is the weekend reset. So, we meet here every Friday or whenever you're listening to this to talk about, how you can get through this weekend. And I'm here to remind you of what you know. You might have forgotten, as the festivities of the weekend commence and the excitement, and you might be like, yeah, whatever, just fuck it, I'll drink. We're not going to do that here. So we're going to slow it down a little bit. You're going to get into your right mind frame. This is a bite-sized episode to meet you where you are. And if you're listening to this when it comes out, it is almost Christmas. It's almost the new year, which, as you know, means parties. A lot of people ask me, I quit drinking on January 19th, 2020. And if you remember what came next after January 2020, it was the pandemic. And I'm asked quite often, how did I kind of decide to quit drinking and then go forward? And I never had this kind of back and forth relationship with sobriety, meaning, I wasn't sober for 6 months and then alcohol came back in. And I really attribute that to the pandemic. Yes, it was horrible and it was such a hard time, but it really was a silver lining for me in my sobriety, because the pandemic was like an outside force forcing me into this hibernation, right? I completely did not have to think about parties or social expectations or what I was going to say or what they would think if I wasn't drinking. I had none of that outside noise. Now, this doesn't mean that you have to rely on a pandemic in order to fully break up with alcohol and never look back. That's not what I'm saying. But there is some things that we can learn from this, right? There can be a kind of self-imposed hibernation period in your early sobriety. It's a hard time during the holidays. If you're listening to this when it comes out, Christmas is less than a week away. Then we have that weird week when no one knows what day or time it is. And then, of course, it's the new year, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. And then, sure, we're going to get into the swing of January and people are going to be joining you on your sobriety journey. And you're going to say, hey, guess what, fools? I've been here the whole time, even during the holidays. So maybe you feel like you need permission to RSVP no to that holiday party or that New Year's Eve gala. Are you guys going to galas? Is anyone still going to gala? I don't know if I've ever been to a gala in my life, but if you have an invitation to a gala, here's your permission to RSVP no. I think for so many of us, we can use the holiday parties, the galas, if you will, as a permission to drink, right? It can be, we're looking forward to the festivities, to the people. It all feeds into this fantasy of what we want alcohol to be and what we've always counted on it to be. But when you're sober or when you're trying to do this thing sober, that machine suddenly feels like very loud and lifey and weird, right? So we don't need to feed into this idea that we still have to go to these parties. We still have to attend the galas and the festivities in order to prove to everyone that we are still, quote unquote, fun, right? We can feel that pressure. No, still invite me because I can still come and I can still be fun. See, my sobriety isn't going to affect us. It's not going to affect our friendship, or it's not going to affect the way we connect. And the thing is, it might, but we don't have to deal with that right now. We don't have to RSVP yes to the parties just to prove that we can still be fun, or maybe just to prove to ourselves that we can still do this. That is one of those questions in sobriety that you can really put to the side for right now. You don't have to figure that out. You don't have to have that answer. Okay? If you're in early sobriety, these parties can feel like a minefield, right? There are so many questions. What are you going to be drinking? What will you do with your hands? What are you going to say when someone offers you a drink? What will they be thinking? Our brains just work overtime. And this isn't because you're weak or this sobriety thing isn't for you. It's just because you're rewiring everything. Your brain is trying to figure out this new way to be. And so you just don't need those extra challenges right now. You don't need to be confronted with so many questions about your sobriety or if you want to drink or why aren't you drinking. You don't need to have the pressure of, come on, one drink won't hurt. You don't need the internal negotiations that we go through when you pretend that maybe you're having fun when you're actually not, and you would really just love to be at home in your favorite sweatpants. And you also don't need to put the pressure on yourself to feel like you're going to earn a medal if you put yourself in a situation that really drains the life out of you. So, what does RSVPing no feel like? It probably can feel pretty scary, right? You might be thinking, oh, here it is. Here's the FOMO that I was afraid of. And that's very real, right? We can feel like we're going to miss out on this party that we've always gone to, or miss out on hanging out with the people we love, or maybe just people we like, right? But here's the thing. I want you to remember that you are not rejecting people by RSVPing no. You are protecting yourself, and you are protecting the most precious part of you right now, which is this part of you that has decided that alcohol is no longer going to come in and fuck things up. And so often saying no to the party, right? No to the holiday party at your neighbor's house, no to the holiday get together at the country club, no to the fancy gala, is giving you a chance to say yes to something even greater and more precious. And yes, that's corny, right? Saying no to something means you can say yes to something better, but it's true. Even if that something better is your sweatpants or your early bedtime or your ability to wake up without that, oh my God, that life draining dread that happens after we drink, right? So you're not boring, you're not failing, and you're definitely not missing out. You have done those parties. You know what that feels like, right? You've never done this. And so you're giving yourself a chance to choose you. You're choosing you, your peace, and you're protecting it. And that's the entire point. So we might not know how to say no, right? And that's okay. We might have been used to just saying yes, even if we didn't want to go. We might have been thinking that we're just going to push through it so that we can say yes to these party invitations. So maybe you feel like you need a script. Here's an example of how you can say no that doesn't lead you to over explain, because you don't need to do that and you don't need to give your power away. And so you're just going to say something like, thank you so much for inviting us. We're keeping things super simple this year, and so we're going to sit this one out. Right? Or you could just say, we're not going to make it tonight, but thank you so much for inviting us. That's it. You don't have to over-explain. You don't have to go into your sobriety. You don't have to go in with promises for next year. I always say if it's someone close to you, if it's your close friends, maybe the girls are getting together for dinner, but you just really don't feel like you're up to it, to maybe some of the questions, even if they're well-intended. Here's what you can say. You can say, I'm going to say no this time, but please continue inviting me. Okay? I am focused on my sobriety, and I just feel right now like this isn't for me just tonight. I'm not up for it, but please continue to invite me, because my relationship and my friendships with you are still very important. And if it's a good friend, if it's your best friend, if it's your best group of girls, I hope they will understand, because they are so much more than drinking buddies, right? And so not only, you are RSVPing no to this party, and that doesn't mean you're going to stay home and cry in your ice cream. I mean, you could. Don't get me wrong, that sounds like my idea of a great night. Put on some emo 90s music and cry and eat ice cream. I mean, high that's like a party for me. But you can find something else that makes you feel good and is nourishing for you in this very precious part of your sobriety. And so if it's a cozy night in with your kids, if you're going to watch a Christmas movie, if you're going to have a calm dinner at home with your husband, or take a drive to look at lights, or just, I don't know, go to bed at 8:15. Like, how amazing does that sound? I hope that this episode just gives you, if you feel like you have needed permission to say no, to RSVP no, I hope that this episode helps you. And I want you to remember that your sobriety is not fragile. You are not fragile, but you are allowed to avoid places and maybe people for right now or forever that make everything feel harder. You don't have anything to prove to yourself or to anyone else. You're allowed to choose an easier path because sobriety isn't about proving anything to anyone. It's about living in a way that feels like it's actually yours. So this weekend, consider this your permission slip to RSVP no. Take yourself out of the chaos and back into your life. Just remember, you don't owe anyone your presence. You owe yourself your peace, and you deserve it so much. You deserve to give yourself a chance to see that the magic of the holidays was never, the chaos of a holiday party. It really wasn't. It's about peace and calm. Even if outside is chaos with the kids, you can feel that calm inside. So keep coming back, keep coming back to the podcast. If you love it, please rate and review it so other moms can find it. Also, don't forget, I talk about all of this and so much more in my book, The Sober Shift. I will leave the link in the show notes. And I just am so proud of you. Don't forget that what you're doing and examining your relationship with alcohol in a world obsessed with it is the most fucking badass thing you can do. I am so proud of you. Keep going, and I'll see you next week.